Hey everybody, so this should just be a quick video here. I am revisiting Upwork and some of these other platforms as a potential way to scale my software development business. And I noticed a new section here called certifications, and I was watching a video actually by Nick Sarive who explained that, and it should be actually intuitive, but it wasn't for me for whatever reason, that these, making sure that your profile is as filled out as it can be is really influential to ensuring that that it ranks as highly as possible when people are searching or when you're doing proposals. So one of the things that I never had on my Upwork profile, even though it's been years since I've actually used this to source any sort of clients, is this certification section. So earlier I went to Credly, which is another platform I was unfamiliar with. I just kind of followed this link and then went through the sign-up process and logged in here, and I entered in a couple things that maybe I was interested in or whatever, and I all but gave up on getting any credentials through here because, let's face it, I don't think anyone really puts any stake into at least the vast majority of these credentials. Sure, some things like AWS infrastructure certifications and stuff like that are probably pretty useful and pretty reputable to have, but for the most part, this stuff is just it's just pretty insignificant, kind of like these almost vaporous. But for the sake of Upwork and for the ranking algorithm, I figured it might be worth it to go through these regardless. So I was trying to think of so I basically did the first one, and there was a couple questions that tripped me up, and I threw them at ChatGPT, and then it answered them pretty easily just by screenshotting and going through. And then I decided, what if I could get maybe Operator? And for those of you who aren't familiar, Operator is available on the ChatGPT Pro plan, which is $200 a month. I'm not sure if it's available on the $20 a month plan. I think it might be, but for sure it's available on the $200 a month plan. And I definitely do, if you can afford it, I definitely do recommend you go for that plan and write it off or whatever, because it's gonna give you the access to all their best tools, including O3 and O3 Pro. Hopefully when that launches soon. And the difference between Pro and the base reasoning model is pretty significant, so definitely worth looking into. But yeah, for the sake of myself, who's going to probably start trying to make some of these YouTube videos, it just makes sense to have the $200 a month version. But regardless, I do think there are some workarounds and either other agents that you could use to maybe do what we're doing here. But so what I did was I went into Credly, and I was thinking, okay, what are some certifications that maybe might be effective in getting Upwork jobs? So I went in here and I typed in make, and I saw that there's a couple badges here. So I clicked on Make Foundation, and I saw that for this badge that we can eventually import into Upwork, there's only a few classes or courses or whatever they call that I have to actually take, and then I gotta pass, I guess, another assessment. So I clicked on this one here, and I logged in through Make. I clicked resume. I'm gonna go to resume course, and you'll see that I already completed this one. However, I actually didn't complete it at all. I had my operator doing it the entire time. So you'll see if I scroll up here. Really what I did was I went to operator.chatgpt.com, and I said, hey, please take this test for me. And I pasted in that link from, from here, pasted in this link, and then Operator visited that in the browser, and then it kind of got tripped up because, and this happens pretty often with Operator, but it got caught by Cloudflare, and it just wanted me to verify that I was human. So I went in here, I took control of the mouse, verified I was human, and then logged in. Once I logged in, it was actually pretty effective. It got tripped up by something, and I just said, hey, follow the prompts and complete the course. And then it kept asking me for my permission to mark off each page. So you'll see here if I move my camera. It has this button here. So it was asking me for permission to click this button. And all I did was tell it that it was quite all right to do so. Let's scroll back up. And then I wanted to get a prompt that I potentially, if I want to do this again, I don't want to have to prompt it this many times. I figure, or actually, guide it this many times. So what I did was I just, hey, give me a prompt, and I kept capture that in my notepad for next time, and then I said, please continue. And so far, it's actually done, I believe, 3 separate courses. So if you want to see, it continue, we could say, please take the final foundation assessment. And hopefully it should continue and finish this up for us. And then meanwhile, you can just go back to doing whatever else you were doing. One of the things that I have been playing with lately with these agents, and really saying agent is, it does feel a bit silly because these agents are, quite simple. But I've really found that leveraging things all of a sudden, Operator a month ago, 2 months ago wasn't really useful. But Operator now is actually, I say that, and it actually just answered something incorrectly. So we'll see if it's still able to pass this one. But Operator now is actually quite useful for trivial things like this, right? So you can imagine, typically what I'd be doing is I'll have my Operator going here, and I'm periodically checking on it maybe every few minutes or so, and it's taking this quiz for me, and then I'll be using deep research to be researching, how to make YouTube videos or whatever, and then I'll be coding, sort of tertiarily, and then I'll have workflows set up, and I'm going to make another video about this, but I'll have workflows set up for client meetings that are, transcribing my meetings and creating tickets in Trello. And you can see pretty clearly how these systems, they're very simplistic in nature, but how much progress has been made, and you see how it's really cruising through this now, but how much progress has been made in just a short period of time, and it's kind of mind-bogglingly fast, but how working with these systems is really beneficial to people, to just multitasking. Really, you're hopping from page to page. I really recommend getting comfortable with keybinds and things so that you can easily hop around from these different modules, from these different agents, and you can continue to direct them. It's a completely different thing that I'm used to, being a software engineer, and in the past, years ago, I would just sort of turn my phone into undisturb and focus on line by line, coding through some solution or architecting some platform. And now, really, just I've moved into managing all of these agents, which is really similar to actually the same process that I've had later in my career where I was managing people. But now I'm doing it sort of, by myself. So it's just been a really, really interesting experience. And I know I'm rambling on a little bit here. I'll get better at making these videos as time goes on, I hope. But yeah, let's just let this finish up and we'll come back to see the result. I actually do wonder. Let's go here. I wonder if we can maybe do the intermediate while this one's going. Some roll in the intermediate. Oh man, maybe we can. So I'm going to try to take that note from here, and then I'm going to go here. And I'm hoping that it has my credential from the other session. Let's see. So we navigated there. It looks like it was able to log in, and then it's taking the course. How cool. So now it's doing two at the same time. Huh. Wow. All right, so now I guess we'll check in when one of these is completed. Cool. So looks like it finished. 19 out of 20 questions. It's zooming through here. Maybe we get to give the feedback. Okay, maybe I did. Mark task is complete. Crash. Did I get one? Look at that. Pending. How cool. So yeah, I just got this. I think maybe I took a couple questions of the first one, but I just had the AI, I automated that full badge there. And if I go to, I'm sure this has to, so now I can accept the badge, cool. Public, save settings. And then I have to go to Upwork, import from Credly, import, there we go. So I have my first certification on Upwork. How cool is that? And if I look, and it looks like while we were doing that in the background, a different session of Operator was working for 5 minutes to complete these other courses for me. So I'm going to confirm, and it's going to keep going. So cool. If any of my clients see this, this is proof that I actually know how to automate things because I'm automating my badges here. If Make sees this, please don't take my badges away. But for the rest of you, I hope that this was informative and maybe helpful. I know it was a bit untargeted, but I am trying to get more comfortable not only putting myself out on YouTube, but sharing my experiments as I do them myself, and I'm hopeful that you guys can gain more out of this. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos this next month or so. I'm really trying to get started with the whole YouTube thing. I got a lot of what I'm hoping are really interesting things to talk about here, and some maybe not so interesting but useful things to talk about as well. So if you're interested in that, then feel free to hang around. But I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.